All of the work we've done against those tunnels was done on our side of the border. We never had to physically cross into the Lebanese side.
And that was a big conversation, right, Elliot, in December 2018 when these tunnels were uncovered officially. Right. Will the IDF have to go into Lebanon? And that could really spark a big conflict.
When the operation began, it wasn't known what Hezbollah would do in response. In other words, forces were put on alert, forces were moved north just in case. The border was kept quiet and they kept it quiet, and frankly, I'm not surprised because I think that while this was a setback for them, they know that the next round is going to be the last one.
Yeah, for them, for Hezbollah, this is it. Yeah.
And Iran knows it. So they're not going to, let's say, they're not going to launch before they're ready to launch. Yeah. If we set them back a little bit, we set them back. But it's not enough. They know it's not going to be a skirmish the next time around. That was the mistake they made in 2006.
It's going to be a full-fledged
war. Full-fledged, and we're not going to let it happen a second.
Israel won't hold back this time, nor should they.
They shouldn't have done it the last time. So what I see up here is sort of the opposite of the Gaza situation. We're not going to see a slow burn, minor incident.
Flare up. Yeah.
That's not happening up here. Here we're going to go from 0 to 100 in one sweep.
Elliot, this next war is going to be big. It's going to be nasty, as you've described for us here on the show before.
Absolutely. And they know it. In other words, they've reached the point where they are a sufficient threat to our security that we can't afford to allow what's been going on, let's say, on the Gaza border to happen here. They've just amassed way too much force, way too much power, and when, because I believe it's a when and not an if, they decide to use it, we're not going to leave them sort of half back in the game. Yeah. And they know it. We've been very, very clear.
This is a threat that must be crushed decisively once and for all.
Yes, yes.
How big of a black eye was this for Hezbollah? An embarrassment, number one. Did it make Iran, their Iranian masters, mad? And number two, how crucial were these tunnels to Hezbollah's strategy to attack the north?
Okay. First of all, it's a black eye. Certainly, they've put a huge amount of effort, resources into excavating them, and there are more. So this is not total. It's a setback, an embarrassment for sure, because as much as Nasrallah in a speech tried to laugh it off, this hurts. You don't invest anytime you invest that much in any sort of method. If it's thwarted, even partially thwarted, it hurts you. And if you thought you were doing it secretly and you found out that it's not such a secret, that hurts you in many, many different ways. So the purpose of the tunnels was to get advanced parties into Israel. Small units, say dozens for our purposes, maybe even less than that, to get in and grab key tactical areas, whether it's a high point, an observation point, an intersection, a road, in order to block off an area, prevent Israeli forces from getting into that area, and allow those assault companies to cross over above ground.
Ah, so you'd have above ground and below ground.
Coming up first below and then coming in from above. If they take ground that happens to be a populated area and they kill 200, 300, 400, 500 civilians and then get wiped out, that's a victory for them.
Wow, they kill civilians, they plant the Hezbollah flag on Israeli soil.
Take the selfie.
The selfie with the flag, the image beams out, Al Jazeera.
We conquered the Galilee. That's the idea behind it.
What you're describing is not a bunch of ragtag terrorists in caves, which is the image I think sometimes people at home have. This is a well-equipped, well-trained terrorist army.
Uniformed, equipped, organized as an army in companies, battalions, brigades, with a command structure, logistics, communications, intelligence, everything that an army has. Highly motivated, well-trained by Iran, combat experience in Syria, a threat. Now, a threat to overrun Israel? No. But a threat to cause a great deal of damage and kill lots of civilians in the process and make the fight against them a serious fight. Yes, that's where they are.
Elliot, you'll be back with us a bit later in the show for some final thoughts from the Israel-Lebanon border here. Up next, we speak to a farmer from right here in Metula, but folks, not just any farmer. This terror tunnel that Elliot and I are talking about was found in his apple orchard. That's right, you will not want to miss this. Don't move.